Hey, it's me, Ajeski, and today we are talking about more lost media. However, today we are doing it on the franchise known as Metal Gear Solid. Now, Metal Gear Solid is actually something I've really wanted to get to for quite a while. I just haven't really had the opportunity until now. Before we start though, I will ask you to please like and sub, as it really helps out the channel. We just hit a little over 100 subscribers, so let's go with that. Also, another fair warning, there will be subjects mentioned in this video, which some might find disturbing. Other than that, let's hop right into the video. Now, the first piece of Metal Gear Solid lost media we are talking about is quite infamous, especially to the Metal Gear Solid 5 community. Now, in case you didn't already know, Metal Gear Solid 5 actually has an online mode. One of the biggest features for this online mode was the fact that you could actually raid other people's bases. Players have the option to actually take other players' supplies and other stuff and basically leave the other players to have to completely start over on their bases. However, though, the other players could, enhance their base enough to where players could not get raided. To this day, this online mode is actually still really popular. Now, there was something that actually really added to this online mode's extreme popularity the most. That being the fact that players could actually take other players' nuclear warheads that they had stolen and disarm them. Now, at first this might not really sound that exciting or very interesting in the slightest. However, what I'm about to tell you might make you reconsider. Now, if players were actually successful in disarming all the nuclear warheads on the server, that would mean the game would actually give you a slight surprise. The game would then show a cutscene of all the characters celebrating your victory of disarming all the nuclear warheads. The game would also reward you with a brand new epilogue chapter for the main game. This led to a multitude of people putting their lives on hold basically to find out what this final chapter was and what the reward was for total nuclear disarmament. However, this proved to be a daunting task. Even 6 years after the game's release, the game is still unbelievably popular online. This led most people to lean towards the more weaker servers, that being the PS3 and Xbox 360 servers. Most people leaned more towards the PS3 server as it only had 800 players, which was not very many, which was definitely the least out of all the servers. Eventually, groups finally got the PS3 servers down to 40 nukes. Unfortunately, this is where the story takes a dark turn. You see, due to a random glitch, it is actually physically impossible to complete nuclear disarmament. You see, for some reason, there's already 40 nukes in the code that cannot actually be destroyed. In fact, they actually don't exist in the game at all, except for these couple lines of code. When players had actually asked Konami to fix this glitch, Konami actually refused to respond to it, and eventually when they did respond to it, they had just said that the glitch did not exist and people were lying. This unfortunately led most groups to start cheating to get rid of the last 40 nukes. And it worked, they got rid of the last 40. One of the saddest parts about the story is the fact that most of the group's members did not know they had cheated at all. They thought it was completely legitimate. Even people like Hideo Kojima thought it was legitimate, which is very sad. And when the bad news came, it shocked most people. Now, the players who didn't know that the groups had actually cheated thought that they would be rewarded finally by Konami. However, on the contrary, Konami had told them that their nuclear disarmament was completely false, and basically gave no proof at all. Just told them, yep, it's not true, which led most players to be quite skeptical. It wasn't until a Did You Know Gaming video came out where they finally had the proof they needed to see that they had actually cheated. This is just really a sad story of a bunch of people who tried to come together and do something, but it kinda just didn't work out. It's been nearly 8 years since the release of Metal Gear Solid 5, and yet we still have absolutely no idea what the secret could possibly be. It unfortunately seems like we're no closer to any kind of closure with this. So if you have any information at all, please tell me about it in the comments below, or contact me on my Instagram, please. That's pretty much all I have to say on this piece of lost media. On to the next one. Now, you see, the next few pieces of Metal Gear Solid lost media are actually related to one single game, that being Metal Gear Solid 2, so this will kind of just be like a bullet round, I guess. However you want to describe it. Anyways, let's just hop right into it. This first piece of Metal Gear Solid lost media that I'll be talking about related to Metal Gear Solid 2 is quite a shocking one and a very somewhat disturbing one. You see, in the game, when it's revealed that Raiden was actually a former child soldier, Kojima actually wanted to use real-life pictures of real-life child soldiers. He had actually gone out of his way to take these pictures himself, which is actually insane. Of course, Konami said no, because using real-life pictures of real-life child soldiers is kind of somewhat disturbing. It's honestly quite interesting, honestly, and we still have not seen these photos to this day. Nobody has an idea of what they even look like, where he took these photos at all. All we know is that he took these photos from Metal Gear Solid 2. that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. If you have any information at all, just tell me in the comments below or my Instagram. On to the next one. Another piece of lost media related to Metal Gear Solid 2 is a completely scrapped version of the game in its entirety. You see, at one point the game was going to have a completely different story and setup. There was entirely different characters, and just the game was entirely different. However, this had to be changed for very unfortunate reasons. During the game's development, the 9/11 terrorist attacks had occurred, and the game story was a little too close to what really happened. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth on it here, because I feel like other people have done a much better job at really discussing the story, but it really had to be changed. It was just way too close to what really happened. A lot of this game's creators actually thought that the game should be cancelled in its entirety, especially Hideo Kojima. Most of them were actually very scared of severe political backlash. However, this never actually happened, and the game did come out to almost unanimous praise. The next piece of Metal Gear Solid Lost Media is a really interesting piece, especially since it's actually been seen multiple times. So at the end of the first chapter, Snake is pronounced dead, and after the cutscene that plays where Revolver Ocelot is revealed to be Liquid Snake, weird story, I know, taken without context it sounds really weird, but it makes even less sense in the actual game. It immediately cuts to the Snake fake-out death. However, that's not how it was always supposed to be. You see, originally there was actually supposed to be a major chase scene involving Snake running away from all the water that's avidly flooding the tanker. All the enemies would have actually gone haywire, while you would have lost all contact with Otacon, leading to him being like, "Snake, I can't hear you, Snake, Snake, Snake," while you're basically just running for dear life at this point. The chase then would have ended with Snake's fake-out death, like the actual game. So I'm sure most of you at this point are wondering, well, why was this cut from the final release? That's actually a really good question. You see, it was something so simple that it might catch you all off guard. You see, towards the end of development, the team was actually running out of a lot of storage on the PS2 disc, leading to them actually having to cut out huge sections of the game. One of these sections just so happened to be the tanker chase. That's pretty much all the Metal Gear Solid Lost Media that I'll be talking about today. On to the conclusion. In conclusion, I do understand why a lot of this Metal Gear Solid 2 Lost Media hasn't been seen, especially since it has a lot in common with the 9/11 terrorist attacks, which is very sensitive, and I'm kind of understand why they wouldn't feel comfortable releasing something so close to that. On the other hand, though, I do think a lot of that Metal Gear Solid 5 Lost Media needs to be seen, especially due to the fact that we can't actually see it officially because Konami has not fixed the 40 Nuku glitch yet. It still needs to be done. I mean, if they want us to actually, do nuclear disarmament, they're gonna have to make it, like actually possible to do first. That's pretty much all I have to say for this video. Thank you all for watching so much. It was Amiya Jetski, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.